Heath Ledger was not simply an actor, he was a force of nature, an artist who carried with him an intensity that could not be ignored. Born in Perth, Australia, far from the glittering lights of Hollywood, Heath showed from a very young age that he was not destined for an ordinary life. He discovered acting as a teenager, and from that moment, it was as if he had found the language his soul had been waiting to speak. For him, the stage and the camera weren't just tools, they were windows into the human spirit. When he first appeared on Australian television, many saw just another young actor with charisma and good looks. But those who paid closer attention noticed something deeper, something unusual. Heath had a hunger, a fire in his eyes that said he wasn't content with being another name in the credits. He wanted to leave a mark, to take risks, and to tell stories that mattered. His early roles in films like 10 Things I Hate About You brought him sudden fame, but they also brought a challenge. He could have stayed in the comfort zone of romantic leads and teen heartthrob roles. But Heath was never interested in comfort. He wanted to test himself, to break molds, to transform. Every time he accepted a new role, he approached it like a craftsman chiseling away at a block of stone. He prepared obsessively, studying not just the lines on the page, but the psychology, the movements, the inner heartbeat of the person he was about to bring to life. Heath believed that acting was not about pretending, it was about disappearing. And that belief drove him into performances that felt raw, fearless, and unforgettable. Heath's search for authenticity was relentless. Friends and colleagues described him as restless, always searching, never satisfied with mediocrity. He read constantly, scribbled down thoughts and sketches in notebooks, and studied people in everyday life. He once said that he felt like he was drowning in creativity, as if ideas, emotions, and visions came to him faster than he could express them. That restless energy pushed him into roles that demanded everything from him, and in turn, gave everything to us, the audience. Behind the spotlight, however, was also a young man wrestling with the pressures of fame. Heath was private, almost shy at times, even as the world demanded more and more of him. He wasn't interested in being a celebrity, he was interested in being an artist. But in Hollywood, those two worlds often collide. He carried the weight of expectations, the scrutiny of the media, and the constant chase for perfection. Yet, even under that pressure, he never compromised his vision. He sought roles that terrified him, that challenged him, that forced him to grow. What made Heath Ledger so unique was not just his talent, it was his courage. He dared to step into darkness, to explore vulnerability, to embody chaos and beauty all at once. He treated every role as though it could be his last, and in some ways that urgency became his trademark. He had the rare ability to completely dissolve into a character, making you forget you were watching an actor at all. Instead, you were watching truth. His life story is not just about the films he made, but about the intensity with which he lived. It is about a young man who refused to settle for ordinary, who carried an almost poetic sensitivity into everything he touched. And though his time on this earth was heartbreakingly short, it was filled with a brilliance that continues to echo long after he is gone. Heath Ledger reminds us that true artistry doesn't just exist in the present, it transcends time. His journey is a reminder that greatness is not about longevity, but about impact, about the fire you leave behind. After his early rise in Hollywood, Heath could have chosen the easy road. He could have stayed in the spotlight of romantic comedies and teen movies, earning fame and fortune without ever pushing his limits. But that wasn't who Heath was. He was not chasing fame, he was chasing truth. And so he walked away from the predictable path and instead sought roles that scared him, roles that forced him to face the darkest and most fragile parts of the human soul. One of the first turning points in his career came with Brokeback Mountain. When Heath accepted the role of Ennis Del Mar, many questioned him. The film was daring, controversial, and ahead of its time. But Heath didn't hesitate. He saw in Ennis a man trapped by silence, by fear, by a society that would never allow him to be himself. To play Ennis, Heath transformed. His voice dropped, his posture shifted. His entire body carried the weight of unspoken pain. The performance was so raw, so heartbreaking, that audiences forgot they were watching Heath Ledger. They saw only Ennis, a man whose story was both deeply personal and universally human. That role earned him an Academy Award nomination, but more importantly, it showed the world the depth of his talent. Heath had proven he was not just a handsome face on the screen. He was an artist capable of carrying the heaviest emotions, of holding a mirror up to the struggles we often try to hide. Yet even after that triumph, Heath remained restless. He often said that he didn't want to repeat himself, that once he felt comfortable in a role, he knew it was time to move on. And so, he sought a challenge that would push him further than he had ever gone before. That challenge came in the form of one of cinema's most iconic and terrifying characters, the Joker. When Heath was announced as the Joker in The Dark Knight, the world reacted with doubt. Critics and fans alike questioned the decision. Could this young Australian actor, known for romantic roles and indie films, truly embody the chaos of Gotham's most dangerous villain? Heath knew the doubts, and instead of being discouraged, he used them as fuel. He locked himself away in a hotel room for weeks, filling notebook after notebook with sketches, thoughts, and fragments of dialogue. He experimented with voices, laughs, and facial tics until he found the unsettling rhythm that would define his Joker. Colleagues later said that Heath became consumed by the role. He studied anarchy, psychology, and even the behavior of wild animals to create a character that felt unpredictable and alive. His Joker wasn't just evil, he was chaos personified. He made every scene feel dangerous, as if anything could happen. And when the film finally premiered, the world understood. Heath's performance was not just good, it was revolutionary. He didn't just play the Joker, he became the Joker. But behind the brilliance, there was also a cost. Immersing himself so deeply into such a dark role took a toll on Heath. He struggled with insomnia, often unable to quiet his mind after long days of filming. Friends said he was exhausted, sometimes sleeping only 2 hours a night. He turned to medication to help him rest, but even that could not silence the storm inside. And yet, on screen, he delivered one of the most powerful performances in film history. Every line, every gesture, every flicker of madness in his eyes was unforgettable. His Joker wasn't just a villain, he was a symbol. A force that challenged Batman, challenged society, and even challenged the audience. Heath had reached the peak of his craft, delivering a performance that would forever change the landscape of cinema. But what makes Heath Ledger's story so haunting is not just his genius. It is the sense of what could have been. At only 28 years old, he had already given the world some of its most unforgettable performances. His colleagues believed he was just getting started, that his greatest roles still lay ahead. And yet, just as his star was burning brightest, tragedy struck. When news of Heath Ledger's passing broke on January 22, 2008, the world stood still. He was only 28 years old, an age when most are just beginning to shape their future, when dreams are still forming and life is only starting to unfold. For Heath, it felt like the curtain had fallen far too soon, just as he was stepping into greatness. The shock was overwhelming. Fans, colleagues, and even those who had never seen his films felt the weight of the loss. It wasn't just a talented actor who had left us. It was a spirit of authenticity, creativity, and courage. days that followed, stories began to surface about Heath's kindness, his laughter, and his humility. Friends spoke of a man who never let fame define him, who valued simple moments of connection more than red carpets or awards. He loved being a father to his daughter, Matilda. To him, she was the true center of his world. Those who knew him said his eyes lit up most when he spoke of her, when he held her, when he dreamed about the life they would share. That is perhaps the most heartbreaking part of his story. Beyond the loss of an actor, it was the loss of a father, of a family's joy, of a future that will never be lived. And yet, Heath left behind something that very few achieve in such a short lifetime: a legacy. His Joker, forever frozen in time in the dark night, became not just a performance, but a cultural phenomenon. He redefined what it meant to play a villain, blurring the lines between performance and reality, art and chaos. When audiences watched him, they didn't see acting, they saw truth. And that is why his work continues to resonate today, years after his passing. Heath Ledger won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor posthumously for his role as the Joker. When his family accepted the award on his behalf, the room filled with both applause and tears. It was a recognition of his genius, yes, but also a painful reminder of the loss. The world was left to wonder, what roles would Heath have chosen next? What stories would he have told? What truths would he have revealed? Even today, his influence lingers. Many actors cite Heath as their inspiration, as proof that true artistry means diving deep, taking risks, and refusing to settle for easy choices. Directors speak of his courage, his willingness to embrace discomfort, his hunger to bring something raw and real to the screen. Fans continue to celebrate his life not only through his films, but through the values he stood for: authenticity, bravery, and passion. But perhaps the most lasting impact of Heath Ledger is not simply the roles he played, but the reminder his story gives us: that life is fragile, unpredictable, and fleeting. That even the brightest flames can burn out too soon. His story urges us to live fully, to embrace the roles we are given in our own lives with courage and authenticity. It urges us to love deeply, to take risks, and to never waste a moment of the short time we are given. As we remember Heath, we do not only mourn what we lost, we celebrate what he gave. He gave us characters that live forever. He gave us performances that still echo in our hearts. And he gave us a reminder that art, when done with honesty, has the power to outlive us all. Heath Ledger's journey may have ended too soon, but his story will continue to inspire for generations. His smile, his laughter, his brilliance, they are not gone. They live on in the stories we tell, in the films we revisit, and in the lessons we carry forward. And now, to you watching this video, if Heath's story touched you, if you want to hear more stories like his, about the lives, struggles, and triumphs of the world's most unforgettable figures, please support this channel. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Most importantly, we want to hear from you. Which legendary figures, which lost talents, whose parallel lives would you like us to explore next? Let us know in the comments, and together, we'll keep these stories alive. Stories of brilliance, of tragedy, of inspiration. Stories that remind us of what it means to be human.